Stan who? I never heard of him either. Welcome to Panfish Nation. My name is Mark with hardly any voice left, co-host of the great Lyle Stokes. What's going on, buddy?
Doing good, buddy. I'm sorry that you're not feeling well, but I'm glad that
you're feeling all right. I'm feeling all right. I just got no voice. I don't know what the heck happened. Could be yelling at these knucklehead dogs all day to get them to listen.
There's something that I would say, and if we was just sitting side by side, nobody could hear us, but I'll let that slide on the show tonight.
I'll remind you to tell me afterwards.
Oh man, we have some beautiful weather here in Southwest Missouri, buddy.
It was cold here yesterday, 42 degrees, Lyle. I got dropped down to. I thought I was gonna have to turn on my heat.
Yeah, it was in the 40s last night. It was 46 when I took the dog out last night, which is cool for me this time of the year. But I'm out there with no shoes on and a pair of shorts, and it was very comfortable for me, to be quite honest.
Are you one of them guys that wear shorts in the winter time?
Until it gets cold enough, and then I put sweats on. Don't take them off till spring.
Okay, gotcha. I got a neighbor here, Ryan. He's a good buddy of mine. His dad's the blind taxidermist I was telling you about.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that. Yeah,
he wears shorts like all freaking year. I'm like, Ryan, there's something wrong with you, bud. Oh, I don't know. It's probably because he's burning all that adult juice, if you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
He's got all that antifreeze running through his veins.
And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you can handle it.
Here's a story to share with you. Back in the day when I was hosting tournaments, those one-on-ones, and the round robins, the March Madness and stuff, which it's a while ago now, come to think of it, but it was a lot of fun at the time. I had a sponsor that gave away stink bait. He sent me 2 gallons of the stuff, Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do with 2 gallons of stink bait? The stuff works good for eaters, definitely. So Ryan was having a graduation party for his son, and his dad's an angler, but he's he fishes to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he fishes on the Rock River out in Sterling, I believe it is, Illinois. And he loves that stink bait. I gave him like 3/4 of that, or 3 of those half-gallon jugs I have, man. He was so happy. He told me if I ever need something taxidermied, he'd do it for nothing. So I'm waiting to get either that 30-inch walleye or 30-pound channel cat, or I don't think I'm ever going to get a 70-pound flathead on my river. But
does he do what do they call them, replicas?
He does not, but he says he would do one for catfish because they can't taxidermy them because of the smooth skin.
Well, either way, I would want mine to be a replica. If the fish is big enough to justify that, I would do a replica and put it back in the water. You know what I mean? And
I agree with you for the most part.
Yeah, if I ever get a 30-pound channel cat, that's going to happen. I'm not sure about a blue. Man, they take up so much room. But a really good, gigantic flathead, it'd be hard-pressed. If it was one of the real gorgeous ones, it would be hard-pressed not to have a. And I've caught a good one, but I didn't get enough good pictures of it and length and girths and all that stuff. I wasn't thinking about that in those days.
You're real excited. You know what the heck to do. I understand, definitely.
Well, yeah, and the night before I got that, my brother caught a 65-pound, or the night after I caught that, my brother caught a 65-pound blue in the same spot, because we went back down there to fish it the next night, and he was sitting right where I told him I caught it. And then he caught that and didn't have a camera. And he called me up. He said, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm down below you. You're in my spot, you dick." He said, I got this giant fish in the boat, and I don't have no scales and no camera, no nothing. I said, "And you call yourself a fisherman?"
Back in the day, a good idea would have one of them disposable cameras in your boat all the time. But
absolutely.
These days, everybody has a phone, so there's really no need for that. Yeah. If you don't have a phone, or I don't see who wouldn't, or don't like the way your phone takes pictures, I think they still make those disposable ones. I think they even make disposable digital ones these days, too.
They probably do. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Probably don't cost what they used to. You know what amount I'd really, really like to have would be like 3, maybe 2 or 3 like 1 pound bluegills feeding on bait or something around like a log. I think that would be a great, or even a mix, a couple of bluegill with maybe either a crappie or a big old perch mixed in it. I think that would make really good decoration in the house. I think it would.
I think I told you about it, but I have a friend of mine, which I haven't seen Fred in a lot of years. He's retired from Ford Motor Company up in Kansas City, where they make the trucks. But he'd done taxidermy work on the side, and after he retired, he still does it. And I was over at his house one day picking his car up to work on it, and he had a some kind of wooden thing, that driftwood, that he made a stand-up post out of, and a stringer, one of the old metal ones with the hooks in it, with big bluegill all the way down that thing. It was gorgeous, man. It really was, and I always thought I'd like to have
mount would be kind of cool too. I got to admit that would be pretty.
It was really good, and he done excellent work on it. I mean, I'm sure either him or Mary Ann went out and dusted them off every day, because there wasn't specking nothing on them nowhere, and they was in his garage.
Remember our guest we had on here? What was his name? John Jeffcoat, is that right?
Yeah.
He showed us those 4-pound mounts he had of those shell crackers he catches.
Gigantic fish. I haven't seen anything, him put out any new videos or anything like that.
Well, I think he got more into hunting like some of these guys do. Remember?
Well, he bought some property, and I think he did, But he's not. I don't even see any post about anything he does. But hey, if he's busy with family and he's got a couple little kids, I completely understand it. But there was some giant show.
Oh, those were huge. And since I know he's out in the East Coast, I think he's on the Cooper, if I remember correctly, but a different part than Palmetto's on. But hopefully they didn't get any damage up there, because I think he was a little higher in the mountains to begin with.
Yeah, I think so too.
We want to make sure we keep all those people in our prayers, definitely, before we start talking about anything else. I saw some photos, and people have been sending me TikToks and stuff of what's going on over there, and it's just heartbreaking. We didn't have that bad of weather, but our family cottage that we used to have, the reason we didn't have it's because we got almost 8 feet of water in there, and it just washed the whole place away.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of heartbreaking. And that was, not our main home. Can you imagine losing everything you have? It would be devastating. It'd be hard to get over it.
Oh, it would be. I have a question for you, Mark.
I see Lisa Elliott in the chat.
First time seen Lisa in a long time. Good to see her.
Yeah, Lisa, or Aaron took, there's regulators. Aaron took Misplaced Country Girl Denise out and took Martin, who's visiting from the UK. They went out on Kerr Lake today. I was watching that, and they had Captain King from King's Catfishing. He's a guide out there. Catches some monster fish. He's been on the Sportsman's Channel, a bunch of stuff. Take him out on a guided trip today, and I think they got like 29 blue cats in the boat. So
very nice.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. He put them on the fish.
If you can't do that consistently, you're not going to do well as a guy. I don't care what the conditions are. A good guide will put you on fish.
100%. Also, I was told not to mention that Martin got like a really tiny little dink that wouldn't even have made one fillet of fish.
So. I hope we get a picture of that sent to us so we can share it.
It's on the live stream.
Martin's a great guy. He is. He's in a lot of the shows and in chat a lot. And like I say, he lives in the UK. So we're always happy to see him in all of our shows and stuff, because it's important to us that we don't just touch people that are local to us, that we reach out and get people from far away like him, and it makes the show really good. I do have something to share with you.
Sure.
Have you ever seen an imitation of Tim Waltz?
No, I have not. That's
Yeah, got the deer in the headlight look.
Oh yeah, I seen a bunch of them memes today. I sent you some pretty good ones today too. I was on the Twitter, which is where I go for my political pandemonium. I guess it's wild, wild west over there. But it makes you come across a lot of good memes and stuff on there. So sometimes
I bet so. Real quick,
I did hear Martin on Stan's show on Friday. It was cool. He was talking about Wells catfish, and he even mentioned about like carp fishing over there. They got a lot of like carp fishing clubs. They're technically a pay lake. You got to pay and make reservations, but they're all naturally bred and on spot or whatever. They're not pulling them out of the water.
Right.
They're a pretty coveted fish over there and all over Europe, as well as the Wells. I know there's Wells in England and in Spain, Portugal. My uncle, who unfortunately just passed away here about a year and a half, he was the head of the Hunting and Fishing Coalition in Eastern Europe. So he helped in the stocking program for the Wells. There was in the rivers over there, and there's a huge population of zander. Do you ever hear of zander, Lyle?
Yes. Yes.
Huge fish that resemble a walleye, only like in the 4-foot length variety. I might be stretching that a little bit because I'm not real sure, but
they get pretty good size.
Yeah, they're monsters. I think there's one place we were talking to Luke Henges one time, and I think there's a reservation up in South or North Dakota that actually stocked their waters with them. So those are kind of cool fish. But anyway, so yeah, I've been kind of down and out the last couple of days, had a lot of doctor's appointments and stuff. So I haven't even had a chance to go out there and try that fly rod. But if I still don't feel great tomorrow, at least I'll get out in front of the house and see if I can't toy around with trying to get it casted. I got a lot of people. I want to shout out definitely David at Double Hook Angling and Kim Burnett, yourself. Kim Burnett sending me some flies. David's mailed me some flies already, and I got the stuff you sent me. So I'm pretty much all set. The only thing I need to order is some of those strike indicators, I think. So
I'm telling you, just after the show, we'll go to a couple of websites. Just get your card ready.
All right. I don't think it'll be that big a purchase. So
it won't till we start adding the other stuff on.
Oh, on another note, I got 2 reels to test coming in the mail here in the next day or two, Lyle.
Sweet.
I got those new Whisker Seeker Catfish casting reels they're sending me to check out. I'm getting the standard one and I'm getting the pro version, but as far as I can tell online, it might be pretty close to just an Abu rebrand, which I would really like.
I don't know that Abu does that, but there's a lot of the look-alike reels that look like them that are on the market, and the quality of those, a lot of them have come way up from where they used to be.
Yeah. One of the reasons I kind of agreed to going with Whisker Seekers is because they do have a relationship with Abu Garcia. They actually helped design the Catfish Specialist fires, the logos and stuff go on the side. So they got an in there. So you never know. I guess I'll be the judge. I'll take a couple of them apart and see how they compare.
Absolutely. But, I know there's a lot of good reels on the market, but it's hard to find anything that can beat an Abu Garcia.
Yeah, the favorites out there, Abu, an obvious pen. A lot of people love those pen reels. Yep. Josh likes those Bass Pro Shop round reels, right? If I'm not mistaken. He's been using them for a while. Other than that, they're Okuma. People like using Okuma.
I tell you, I have had good luck with Okuma stuff.
I have that Okuma Low Pro Citrix that I put on the Blackhorse custom rod you sent me, and I use that one anytime I'm floating baits into trash or under bridges or log jams. I use those big floats that I love to use just to keep the bait out of the mess right above it, and that reel's pretty nice. It's a workhorse too. So, something else did come up this week. I forget who was talking. I think it was Jody who mentioned this. She said she was hooked into a monster and that it straightened out her hook. Right. And right away, everybody's asking her what kind of hook she's using.
I did not.
What?
I did not. I said, if your hook getting straightened out, you got a piss poor brand.
Well, that too. I think you did hear that. I think you were in there too, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? If my first thing I'm thinking is it's not just the hook. The hook could be bad to begin with.
Sure,
right?
Absolutely.
Also, if you're using too stiff of a broomstick of a rod, or you got too much drag, and you're using 100-pound test, ridiculous stuff like a lot of people do, you're going to do the same thing. I'm not picking on Jody whatsoever, but I've heard stories like this all the time. If it's like driving, I used to ride a lot of Harleys, and I got a chance to have a hardtail for a while that's real no suspension in the back, and having no suspension, whether it's in your rod or the drag in your reel. I'll even admit that mono adds that extra shock absorbing to it. Something's gonna give 100%.
Something has to give.
Yep.
It does. If not, then the hook will, if you're hooked onto a fish, they'll just rip it out of his mouth. I don't care where it's hooked. Doesn't matter if it's around the jaw. It's going to come out, is straighten out, come out, whatever. If you don't have give someplace, that's why I've never understood these guys. Oh, got to have 30 pounds of drag. Got to have 30. That's the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. There's no reason to have over 15 or 20 pounds of drag. If you ever tried to hold that much when somebody's pulling it against you, I mean, it's hard to do sometimes.
It is, and that's just transmitted towards the fish's mouth.
Yeah, the only time I ever think that you need any more than 15 pounds of drag is if you're on brush piles or a lot of structure and you're flatheading and you're worried about getting it away from there. Once you get there, you're not going to be able to pull it away from it anyhow without ripping it out.
When I'm fishing tight cover like that with flathead, I ain't gonna lie, I got my drag tightened down. That's one of the reasons I use braid. Once I get that fish out of that mess, I back off the drag. Nobody probably even notices it, but I absolutely do it because that's the one thing I'm worried about. A lot of times, especially using circle hooks in a flathead, you're gonna hook them in the corner of the mouth usually, and they're those big bony pads don't exist in the corner of their mouth. That's where they meet. So you're going to rip a lot of hooks out of the skin on the corner of their mouth if you don't fish them wisely. And sometimes you got to get them in as, I don't want to say gently, but you want to finesse them in a lot of times. So
yeah, sometimes that, but and this other deal, but when you're talking about catfishing, these guys using 12 and 14 odd hooks, my God, they're not sharks, people. There's nothing an 8-aught. There's not a catfish in the Mississippi River or anywhere else that you can't catch with an 8 or 10-aught hook. Period.
My only thing to add to that is flathead have a lot like wider pad. You're not teeth. I call them their tooth pad right in the front.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a circle hook stuck in that tooth pad, it usually doesn't pierce them. I don't care how sharp it is. It just doesn't go through that bone that easy. If you get them in a corner, you do all right. But you would want a bigger hook just to get around to get to the back side of that tooth pad. That's the only time that I've wanted to use like larger circle hooks. Since then I've switched, and people are going to give me a lot of grief over to J hooks for flathead. My hookup ratio is getting a lot better.
I understand that 100%. But a lot of the difference in them hooks is not how big it is. It's the gap between the point and the back of the hook.
Get over that hook.
That's right.
You want to get under that hook pad either
For
or.
A good catfish hook has to have a big gap. Just has to have. That's all. And I do like J hooks for flathead fishing, especially if I got a bobber out afloat and I got live bait underneath, or if I like them back bottom bouncing, because if you're bouncing and that fish is trying to take that away from you and you're trying to keep it, and I'm going to try to jerk his mouth completely off his body. And that's where them Gamakatsu big river hooks shine. They just do.
And I've always liked those Gamakatsu hooks. Definitely. I got some Whisker Seeker ones they're sending me here. I'm going to give them a shot. They look like your standard J hooks, but we'll give them a shot. They come in a 10-aught, which is one size bigger, so I can get like bigger baits in the bigger baits on the hook and still leave lots of point exposed. But you got to set them. Those Gamakatsus, they got that sickle hooks pretty much designed. Yes. I even use those in my Aberdeens. I use those Eagle Claw Pro Vs, which I really like. I can get a number 2, which is usually big. I know you use hooks a lot smaller than that, but for panfish. But the way those hooks are set up and engineered, the design of them, they'll get into a smaller fish's mouth regardless. So I really like those sickle hooks. I've even almost all the jig heads that I poured, a couple of thousand that I poured, I'll use those sickle hook designs. I really like them a lot.
I like those too. And even with small hooks like that, when I'm pan fishing, which that's about all I've done this summer, I like to offset that hook too, just like
Yeah.
you do on the others. And I haven't told anybody, but I think it helps catch the fish because for some reason the offset they just hook up better. I don't know if it's because it's not in line with the shank or what,
Yeah.
but
I
it
think that
seems to be.
I would guess that's what it is. If the tip of the hook is off not in line with the hook, that shank doesn't get in the way of the bite. There's more of a chance of that tip of that hook getting, stuck in their mouth. So
Yeah, something because and oh, I don't know. I've probably got 1,000, 1,500 hook jig poured right now, and when I clean them off, the screw on them, I just push the hook over and offset them right then.
there you go.
Doesn't matter which style hook it is.
I need to pick up a couple more jig molds, and we'll do some of that over the winter. Definitely. We'll pour a bunch up and
Absolutely.
we'll do some giveaways and stuff. I need to get some bigger ones for some walleye and stuff like that, but that's regardless. So I need to figure all that out, what I like. I found a Bass Pro jig head that comes in like 3/8 and half ounce. So they're relatively big jigs, but I need to get like long, like 3-inch, 3/0 J hooks, 2/0 J hooks, stuff like that work really good.
Mm-hmm.
Those baits. I just need to find them with the 90-degree point. So why don't I welcome everybody in chat here?
Sure.
Let me get my settings done. Participants. Thank everybody for watching. Oh, wait, YouTube's doing something funny tonight.
They
I
are.
guess I'll just call them out manually. So we'll go back up to the top. I see 922 Crappie Barbecues in here. There's that Catfish and Crappie guy, Panfish Nation. Wabash Nate, how you doing, bud? There's Martin, of course. Martin from the UK. It's great to see you back stateside. Lance
Absolutely.
McCoo, how you doing, Lance? Hopefully you're getting out some salmon. Denise over at Misplaced Country Go Fishing. She's been canning a lot of good stuff, so she's been making some good food. There's the wonderful Lisa Elliott. 922. Going through. I think that's all the people that are talking in chat today. It's slow. Oh, there's Regulators, Catfish Regulators. What's up, buddy? I think he's going. I think there's a bunch of people that are slated to go live tomorrow. If I go out, I'm going to go live, but I was planning on doing something different tomorrow. While I was going to try and get some channel cats and try and get some walleye, kind of do a multi-species kind of day, but who knows if I'll be able to get out at all. So, and look, lady just joined in. It says no notification at all, and had a hard time finding you. I did notice that, folks. I noticed that. Lyle, I went over to the main page to find the link to tonight's show, and usually I have it set up for it to show upcoming live event on the main page. That isn't showing up. I had a hard time sharing the link out here. It wasn't showing a lot of people in chat. There's something going on with YouTube, so we want to apologize. If you're watching the show after the fact, guys, thank you very much. If you're listening to it on a podcast too, we appreciate it. So yeah, there's something funny going on with YouTube today. Could have something to do with the East Coast mess. Verizon networks having problems. Maybe they're trying to reroute all that traffic through the internet or something. Your guess would be as good as mine, but anything's possible. So
yeah, that's correct. And when YouTube has an issue like that, that's beyond our control. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, Look Lady said he can't find it anywhere on his TV as well. And Lance is saying, where is everyone tonight? I didn't get a notification, so YouTube is doing their thing again, 100%.
Yeah, that's beyond our control.
Well, we'll hang out here and hopefully they'll get it all worked out and people can watch this after the fact 100%. So I'm glad the people that are in here came in here for sure, 100%. And if you guys like, you can always share the link out too. We'd appreciate it, and always hit them thumbs up for us. That'd be cool too. So Lyle, I hosted a tournament this weekend. It was a lot of fun. Kind of had to blow the cobwebs out, but we got back on it, had a good time. It was a long 6 hours. You know how I feel about 6-hour tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I am retired from the online tournament scene, as everybody knows. But this was for a good cause, raise some money to put together a pontoon boat so they can get people with wheelchairs on there, which is the vets with wheelchairs on there, which is a great thing. So Thank you, Daryl, for asking me to be on there. Even though he's not in here, I'm gonna have to give him some trouble by that. 922 Crappie Barbecue says Ancient Mariner is freaking awesome. Yeah, Bobby made me happy this week, and he caught a bunch of fish. Good for him.
922, you got me that time. That's some funny stuff.
They're still recovering from that debate yesterday. Did I say that out loud?
Oh man, I enjoyed that really. I didn't think it would be nearly as good as it was.
That guy's he's pretty smart. Let's not talk about politics. We're going to do that. We're going to start a politics channel. It's going to be ZFG Politics. How's that for a channel name, Lyle?
That works for me. I thought we was going to do the cooking thing.
Well, we can cook while we're talking politics. How about that? we'll do whiskey reviews. We'll do some
I'm okay
cooking,
with that.
and we'll talk politics.
I had seen some. Speaking of whiskey, I've seen some advertised here lately that I don't know if they're any good or not. I don't know if they're expensive or not, but the name triggers something that makes you think it's good, whether it's any good or not. And that's pretty good advertising. If you can put something out there that triggers I want to try that in your mind, the advertising quality is pretty good.
Oh, look at
There's
this.
Betty Jean. Looky there.
See, there's another confirmation. Can't find us on the TV. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube tonight. Something weird is going on. Either that or Lyle and I finally got canceled. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me see. It is set up as, why is it set up? Oh, Lyle, it's set up as unlisted.
What?
Right, let me edit this. Give me a second. Talk for a little while. I got to get in here.
Betty Jean, I have something to tell you. And I'll refrain from telling you now, but after the show, if I don't message you, you need to message me so I can let you in on this. I found it quite funny. You may or may not, but we'll see how that works out.
What about me?
Well, you can join in. I mean, you know better.
All right, let's see.
Oh man. I don't know what you're fixing there, but there's Look Lady. Had to go to the community to find it. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know what went wrong here, but we're going to try to get it figured out. And
I'm doing it right now.
Betty, did you like the thumbnail tonight's show? It didn't have you in it. I'm shocked. It was of your husband. Which is a great picture, by the way. Thumbnail was well done.
Oh, thank you. That's the star of the show right there. Braid Cross. That was from the same day we went fishing out here by my house that Betty Jean pointed. Betty Jean took that picture of me sleeping under that tree. That means
I got that someplace saved. Looky here. Uh-oh.
I got an emoji for Betty Jean.
I bet you do. I bet you do. We was going to talk about fishing spots, finding fishing spots tonight, Mark. And we talked about this a little bit before about finding structure on bodies of water to fish. But if I go to a new spot that I've never been to before, whether it's a pond or a lake or a creek or a small river, I walk around, look around a little bit to see what is there, because what I'm going to be looking for is some kind of structure, whether it be an eddy behind something, fallen tree. And when I say fallen tree, I'm looking for something that hasn't just fallen. I'm looking for something that's been in the water a long time.
Yep.
Because the longer it's been in the water, more fish have found it and use it for a home base. I'm looking for weeds along the edge of the bank, or something there, and all kinds of different things like that. Anything. Josh.
No, that's not Josh. That's
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the one below that. But yeah, any kind of discrepancy, and people say, well, how do you know if there's something underneath the water? If it's got current and there's anything different, a ripple, a swirl, anything that's different on the top of the water from the rest of it tells you there's something underneath the water making it do that. And if it's any type of structure, especially, like I said, the longer it's been there, the better off you are to use it and go in there and catch it. Now, a lot of people think that you only catch panfish in shallow water. That's not true. They like deeper water when it's really hot. They'll move out in the deeper water. And when the water gets cold, they'll move up shallow because it's warmer. They like rocks at that time, sandy areas. But again, they want structure, someplace they can hide and get away from the catfish and the bass and whatever's eating them and things like that. So that's the kind of things I look for when I get to a new spot that I've never been to before.
I like points. I like wind-blown corners, like if I'm pond fishing. Definitely want to get into the corner where the wind's been blowing. They'll get stopped up in there. In the sunny spots, we don't so much have a lot of trees. The ponds I fish for panfish here for the most part, we have a lot of reeds everywhere, so there isn't much shade to offer them. So they're hiding in the weeds. I try to get on them reed lines, which makes it kind of difficult because when you're pulling them in, you're always covered in that grass. It's kind of a pain. The sandy spots, there's like a hump. Drainages are good spots in a pond because all of that, the drainages here come off the roads. So there's all that road dust and dirt that gets washed into there, makes a hump coming in. They'll always sit either right on top or one side or the other. Now, as far as like finding new fishing spots, that's what I use. Obviously, use Nightcrawler or a wax worm or something that really is a high percentage bait. And I'll fan cast a lot of it and move, fan cast and move, things like that. But as far as finding like new spots, that's what I was thinking we could talk about too tonight is a lot of times I'll go to the Illinois DNR website, right? And they'll have a list by region in the state, and they list all the public fishing places there. I think James Dockery does this like religiously, if I'm not mistaken. Pick a lake, check out what they actually have outlook or from them testing the fish population, doing their shocking, and they'll have a good idea. Usually it's a year or two old, but that doesn't mean it's changed too much. You can get an idea of what's in that lake. Like if you're looking for crappie and they don't list crappie in there, good chance that crappie aren't there. That's not always true. I've caught crappie in places they weren't listed by accident, came back and actually had a pretty good day fishing for crappie there. But for the most part, they're on the money. And a lot of times you'll find good lakes like that. You'll find bad lakes. You'll find information like where they're stocking the trout, where they're stocking other fish. All that's usually on the DNR website. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good place to start. What do you say? I say hello to everybody since we're getting filled up already here, Lyle.
Yeah, we're getting all the people. I don't know what you changed, but I shared it out to my personal page again, and then whatever you done, we gained a lot of people really quick.
That's because we're showing up on YouTube again, and I'll explain later. 922 Crappie Barbecue again. There's Betty Jean, couple crosses fishing. How you doing, dear? Creole catfishing in the house. What's up with his new PB? You know, I was just telling Lyle, you should have caught that on my channel, bud. If I'm not mistaken, you got your start over on my channel as far as tournament fishing goes. I'm a little hurt on the inside. I was not allowed to host you, bud. Anyways. You did a good job. Fishing Fever, what's up, Austin? How you doing, bud? He also did well fishing this weekend. Greg Burgess in the house, Lance McCoo guy. Mason Stokes, one of my favorite Stokes right there. Lyle, I'm sorry, I got to tell you.
That's okay.
All right, Mason, Mike Irvin in the house. Parker Pursuits, what's up? Rainbow Warrior. There's Josh, the troublemaker. Josh, we got to talk about the new live streaming service. I did see it on live stream that I watched after the fact. And Wabash Nate. Thank you guys for coming in. Everybody watching on TVs and other devices. I appreciate you guys too. Thanks for watching. So I think we're caught up, Lyle.
Yeah, just keep going. I got to finish this message right quick.
Okay, so the DNR site's a definitely good one. And what I'll do is, I don't know if this site is so used anymore, but Lake Link is a site online where it was like a bulletin board, kind of like Catfish One and a lot of other bulletin boards that were out there, where people comment on bodies of water and how they have done recently, what to expect. On that site, you'll get a lot of good information, like if the fish are like they're overstocked and the fish are stunted in that lake, you'll get information like that off of them. It's pretty good. Another site which I used to do some work for, I still a part of the organization, is Fish Brain. A lot of people don't like Fish Brain because they claim that they give up their hot spots, but I got news, people. With all the people fishing these days, almost every hole is a community hole, if I'm not mistaken. So don't share it out if you don't want it, but don't get mad if somebody else finds it. So you did in the first place. Fish Brain is pretty good because you can do a sort by species and by season or month. See who's catching what in whose month. If you're not familiar with the seasons of the fish in your area, that's a great place to start, Lyle. You know,
that's exactly right.
Yeah, because you'll find out when they're spawning. You'll find out when they're grouped up and not scattered everywhere. That's definitely a good tool. Call it cheating or whatever, but I got front facing sonar. I don't care about cheating. I want to catch a fish. I don't care. I'm not tournament fishing or nothing like that. I'm fishing for myself. So then there's Google Maps for like ponds and stuff, because ponds they're not listed on the DNR website for sure.
No.
Every now and then a kid will post something, because a lot of kids fish these ponds, at least in my area. They'll post something on Fish Brain because I use it like a social media app just for fishing. So it is what it is. I usually don't check that. So I have in the past used the heck out of Google Maps in my area, go place by place by place and try to find ponds. And I got a couple of good spots. Some I got to travel a little bit that are actually deeper into the city. Go figure. There's like my bullhead spot. I got to travel like 15 or 16 miles to get to that, which isn't a lot unless you're talking street lights every couple of blocks. But that's another good, definitely a good way of doing it. If you use Google Earth, you can look up historic data in that too.
Real says if there's absolutely no phone signal, then it's automatically a great spot. 99% of the places that I fish in Southwest Missouri, if I'm catching fish, there's zero phone. And any place that I go that you have little success, there's not much that you don't have.
I got your answer, buddy. Get your credit card. We're getting you Starlink.
No.
And mount that sucker on your boat. You'll have internet signal everywhere.
By the way,
you could be fishing in Zimbabwe. You'll get internet signal.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Not gonna happen. Austin has joined us with Fishing Fever. Jerry Parker, did you get him? Wabash Nate?
Yeah, I did. Jerry Rainbow Parker, I sure did. There's Crappie Day Darren. What's going on, Crappie Day? How you doing?
Glad to see all you folks have found us. But yeah, we have a lot of problems with phone signal down here. They call them Ozark Mountains. I say they're hills. But then again, I consider the Appalachian Mountains hills too. Once you've seen the Rocky Mountains, there's nothing compares to that.
Did you hear that, Betty Jean?
Oh, man. The Rocky Mountains is the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life.
I haven't been. I know it's
you should. There's David Smith. We're always so glad to see him in here.
Any mountain range is always pretty to see or go through. I would just hate to live on a mountainside and have to mow that lawn up and down that hill. I don't know if I'll
just get you a goat.
Yeah. See, I'm a city boy. I don't think like that, but that's a good idea.
Austin says iBoat is a good alternative for Navionics now that it isn't free. I'm not
Yeah,
familiar
they
with
changed
that at
that.
all.
Navionics is not free anymore, and they ported it over the web app. You can still use, but it ports you through to the Garmin site because Garmin does own them. They bought them a while ago.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to put them all together. I think the web app is still free. So if you got an iPad, you can use it there. But the paid version on the phone, I think last time I paid for it, and I have Navionics on my boat as well. I think they no, I'm sorry. I used to pay like $14.99 for Navionics on my iPad. I canceled that because I pay the subscription fee on my Garmin's, and they transfer as long as I use the same username and password. But you can still use the free online web app, I think. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I looked at it.
I haven't been on Navionics for a little while. Last time I was on it, it still worked for me. But the lakes don't change much. So once you get it, and I have, as far as I know, I have the latest download from them on updating my software. But then I've got 2 or 3 of them that I don't know if I've uploaded the southern or the eastern one yet or not, but the central one I have. So I just need to get on there and check and see.
Yeah, my Navionics is horrible when it comes to how they split the states up. Like, Lyle, if I'm going to fish here, fine, I got that in Wisconsin, right? But if I
Yeah,
want to fish by you, I got to buy another region. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
yeah, yeah. I have, like I say, I've got them. And I also have some Lake Master stuff.
Mm.
And it's okay. It's different. There's just enough difference between Navionics and Lake Master that you really need to take a look at it, because there's things that Lake Master will do that Navionics don't, and vice versa. So Mason says, I think the best lures out there are baits for bluegill are live worms and rooster tails. I always like rooster tails.
And a good old Lyle Stokes jig. You
I like
didn't.
them too because I use them a lot. And I've been trying plastics, but again, for whatever reason, I don't have any success with plastics. I think a lot of that's confidence in them, but they do catch fish. And
Mm-hmm.
for James Dockery, that's all he uses. And my God, who catches more panfish than James?
I
But
catch a
he
ton of them
does.
on plastics.
Yeah, he loves his plastics, and he does very well with them. Something right now, and we're going to talk about this in the near future, is spinner baits, inline spinner baits. One of the most overlooked fan fishing tools. One of the problems, though, and I probably shouldn't give all this away, but one of the problems with spinner baits is when you're looking for spinner baits for bluegill and fish that have real small mouths, most of those are made with a treble hook on the back that is too big for them to get in their mouth. And that's why you get the hits and don't hook up unless you hook up with them on the outside of the mouth.
I got 2 words for you. Panther Martins. They make the
Panther
small ones.
Martins is a great bait. They
Get
really
the
are.
black one with the gold spots, and you're in
Good.
business.
Yeah. I like the real shiny ones. In
Mhm.
clear water, I believe that the gold spinner, the thing that flops around, I believe the gold ones are better in really clear water. In darker, murkier water, I think the silver ones work the best. My opinion, it may not be the same
I
for
would I would agree with that. They work well. Spinner baits have been around forever, Lyle, and I blame a lot of online marketing to change it, but that's a curse and a blessing because they're trying to sell you baits. When
Of
you're
course
looking
they
at
are.
artificial baits, it's all a business out there, folks. Spinner baits have been around forever. In my opinion, they're like the easiest baits to fish, actual retrieving baits. You just cast them out there and you retrieve them at different speeds until you figure them out.
Start and stop, you retrieve.
Yep.
And now hit it on the when it's dropping. It's that they always hit it on a drop. Um, Another great spinner bait is um oh, what the hell? Can't think of the name. Had it in my head just before we started. Um, they're old mountains, just like people.
All right, we're getting there. I'm just kind of scrolling through the chat trying to find this. Hey, Jeff Beal, how you doing, bud?
Beetle
Forget
spin.
about all the nonsense technology. Just go and explore the old-fashioned way.
That's right.
I agree with that 100%.
Is the other thing I was trying to think of.
My wife says I got the neck problems I have from rubberneck, and whenever I see a pond or a body of water, I drive by.
I think
And
we're all.
I can't use my front-facing sonar in a pond. I can't get my boat in there, Lyle.
You didn't get one of the kind that you can pack around like a suitcase?
Look, yeah, I probably could, but I'm not gonna. I don't have that Chad Fields money.
I understand. Mason's talking about the beetle spins too, and one of the things that I do at the beetle spins when they get all chewed up, I'll just change the whole jig head out on that and put a hand tie jig on the back of it and see if that works. They all catch it. That beetle spin
Mr. Twister sells just the wire with the actual blade on it that you can put any jig, plastic, hand tie, anything you want, people. So if
get
you
your
really
credit
like
card out, and we'll order some of them up. I'll even order some too.
No, that's what you're getting for Christmas, Lyle. I'm gonna order you one. Gonna package of one. You keep coming after me like this. But yeah, they work pretty good. I use them with Bobby Garland plastics and stuff. Maybe this year, I have some of my own hand ties where I left them a little long as far as the tail goes. I think those would probably be a good way to fish those during the spawn, I'm thinking, because you can drag those baits up and over and right through bluegill bed and probably really upset them and have them want to move that whole bait. So. I was just sending Lyle pictures of Dodge's towing Fords today, Creel.
Yeah, that's all
Take it easy
Photoshop,
there, bud. Leave my Ram Cummins alone.
That's all Photoshop.
You Ford guys.
I think.
Wait a minute. Jerry, since this comment came from you, I'm not quite sure what exactly you're talking about, but it could either be fishing or something really dirty, Jerry.
Knowing him, it could be the one. Maybe it's a combination of the two.
Maybe.
You was talking about looking around for ponds when he was driving and neck problems. Who doesn't do that? It's just like the guy that deer hunts. Who drives down a country road and don't look to see if there's one next to the wood line across the field? You know what I mean? It's just in your DNA. If you go by a body of water and don't at least take a look at it, you're no fisherman. I mean, come on. Everybody does that.
My wife will be talking to me about something she thinks is important, and I'll be like this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
not important compared to that water spot.
Not a good start to a night out. Jerry Parker says the Mepsigelia panfish killer. Yeah, they're pretty good.
It is. They are. And they have a fairly small hook on them. Here's another thing about spinnerbaits. And like say, I'm going to ruin what we was talking about, but a lot of times when them treble hooks are too big, and if your bluegill's mouths are the size of your little finger, the end of it. Mm-hmm. So just consider that when you're putting a hook on there. Get you a small, and I mean a small, hook, straight hook, and put it on there, and they work just fine. Circle hooks are really good, and they make them in such a small. I've got them here somewhere. Such a small hook that you just put them on a ring and stick them on there. I am a firm believer here lately about mashing down the hook keeper part of it.
The barb, right?
The barb. It's easier on them to release them, especially if they're going to be caught and released. And let's face it, even if we're going after them for bait, a lot of them get released because they're too small or too big or too something.
Even if you are using them for bait, as long as you're not losing them and you keep pressure on that line, why do that? And
I agree.
if you do gut hook them or you hook them real deep, not having that barb there makes it even easier to get the hook out as well. It's all dependent on what you want to do. You know, I'll keep a barb on there because I just don't want to lose a fish, but I can definitely see the advantages to not have
I even mash the barbs down on the flies that I tie for myself. Now, if I'm tying one for somebody else, especially if I know they're inexperienced, I'll leave the barb on them. But if I'm tying them for myself or somebody, if it's an experienced fly fisherman, they say, "Hey, tie me up a dozen of these." I'll ask them if they want the barb left alone or want it mashed down. And some of the hooks you can buy barbless, and some of them you can't. Depends on the hook you're using and where you're getting them. Um, Again, I use a lot of eagle claw hooks because they don't break. They don't straighten out if you get snagged up, which I know you lose stuff that way. But I don't want to straighten it out if I get a good fish on. And I use a lot of those. I also use some stuff that I buy from some of the online places that I buy fly tying and jig tying stuff. And those hooks are a lot more expensive. And I think they're probably just as good. Some of them may even be a little bit better specifically for fly tying. But when I order them, I always get them barbless, and a lot of those come barbless. So there's that.
It's also bragging, right? Like, yeah, I caught that on a barbless hook. I'm that good, you know. Can say that stuff. So.
I can see Parker doing that.
Yeah, Parker's lucky. He's got a horseshoe, you know where. We talked about this.
I heard that.
That's a Robert
Chance. I heard that from 2 or 3 people.
I remember Robert Chance telling me that, and it's kind of stuck. I'm starting to think he was right. Austin at Fish and Fever says, I only realized the Navionics thing with this New Waters tournament coming up live for the Fishing League. Yeah, let me give you a warning. If you're fishing a river, Navionics isn't real great. It'll give you a baseline or whatever. It'll tell you where the main channel is where you're not going to get your boat caught up. But if you're looking for humps or deep holes, they're not always there. Navionics, before they were purchased by Garmin, Captain Greg Olile used to spend time on waters just scanning and sending that information over to Navionics.
Yep.
The guys who are doing that for them, we're helping definitely. I don't know if they still do that or if they rely on the user share data. On my Garmin, I can scan and make my own maps, which I do quite a bit on lakes, not on rivers, because rivers always change, on lakes that I fish quite a bit. So I got, a good part of 2 lakes on the chain mapped out myself, and those maps look nothing like what the Navionics ones. And the ones I make myself, I'm finding the holes, the dips, and the valleys a lot clearer. So
I remember every spring, I don't know if they still do it or not, but the Corps of Engineers used to go down the Mississippi River and reset all of the buoys and put them right. They use some kind of thing that tells them exactly where they're supposed to be. Navionics, once they're reset for that year, you can go buy them with your fish finder, and they will be exactly where they are marked on Navionics' deal. Now, once you get the flood the fall or the flood in the spring, they may move. It may change. They may even be gone. It's hard to say. And they may be underneath the water, and there's a lot of people that's hit those. My good buddy Ron Workman hit one in a tournament one time on the Mississippi River, ripped a hole in the side of his Lund, but they will be where they're supposed to be once they reset them. And I don't know if they still do that every year or not, but once the flooding was pretty much over in the early part of summer, they used to go up down the Mississippi River and reset those or replace them if need be. And they would be exactly where that Navionics card said they was going to be.
I think that's a courtesy from any navigational software. I know they do that for the barges and stuff, and those guys pay a heck of a lot more money for their mapping. I know for a fact that they pay, like 5 and 6 times of what we would even pay, and that's just a guess. Creel probably knows better than I do since he works on the river over there. So
he's around a
lot of the information you see on like some of the bigger rivers like the Mississippi and stuff, don't they have like shipping lanes and all of that stuff?
Yes.
Those maps, yeah. So Twisted Fishing TV. What's going on, Frank? My friend, how you doing? He says he likes the Blue Foxes inline spinners. Those are good. Jerry
Blue Fox are really good.
I don't know. There's Ryan over at Setting Hooks Crossing Eyes. He's been killing it on a flathead. Mr. Sampy, what's going on? Here we go. Creel again. Oh, that's an old comment. Picking on my Dodges.
Really? Who would do that? You're froze up, dude.
Am I?
No, not now.
Okay. 922 Crappie Barbecue says Cummins will receive a power choke, swap engines, and Ford might outpull the Dodge. Might. Yeah,
My
no.
ass.
Not going to happen. What's up, Curtis? How you doing, buddy?
Damn, I'm glad we could all have some fun.
And Frank says, I look like a rolling DUI when I'm driving. Every field gets a glance along a wooded line.
I've been accused of that myself. But yeah, you just gotta do that. I can't imagine going anywhere and not looking for a coyote, a deer, a place to fish. And how many, and you can comment in chat, how many people go by a spot and think, damn, I gotta fish that place. I just gotta fish that spot. Who does that besides me, Mark?
Jenny says, I fished today and accidentally stuck myself with a jig hook. It was fun to remove. Oh, poor thing.
I bet.
There's Miss Chrissy Brown. How you doing, dear? Oh, another good place or another good way to get good fishing spots is talk to people, folks.
That's right.
You know, I'm pretty friendly out on the water. I know a lot of people on my river. I'm not bragging or anything. It's just the way it is. A lot of people like me. They talk to me. They ask my advice and stuff. But they also give me tips, tell me what's working for them, where to go, where to find bait, things like that. I got people to reach out to. So be social, people. Don't just keep to yourselves. I know a lot of people don't like other people, but you'll be surprised who you meet when you open your yapper and you be nice to somebody.
Mark, we used to fish a lot of tournaments, 2 or 3 a month. And I would tell people would say, are you finding fish? And yeah, well, where do you find them, in shallow or deep? I tell them exactly where I was at. They said, why would you do that? Because if you think you're only going to fish one spot and catch fish that day, you got an issue. Because we're liable to hit 8 or 10 different places, but I'll have them in an order of which ones I got. And if I have a spot that I think is really going to be hot, and I'm probably not going to tell you about that, but I'll tell you what it looks like, what structure we're on, what depth we're in, different things like that.
Yeah,
it never bothered me when I was tournament fishing to not share that information with those people, especially people starting out. I would always do anything to help them, even if it was a safety issue. We had a guy at Monsters on the Ohio one year down there with Aaron Wheatley, and these 2 kids come pulling up beside us. It was dark. It was going to be 45 minutes before the tournament started. And they's in a little bitty old dinky boat with like a 10 or 12 horse motor. I said, what are you doing out here? He said, we just wanted to come over and say hi. I said, it's not about that. I said, do you understand when these big boats with these 150s and 200s and 250s and 300s take off, that the wake is going to be unbelievable? I said, it's calm right now, but it's not going to be when they start calling out boat numbers. And I said, you guys need to go over here by that dock. And I don't care what number you're supposed to leave out. You wait till everybody is gone, and then you go to where you're going. Because if not, boat's going to be at the bottom of the water, and you're going to be using them life jackets to swim over to the bank. And he says, you really think it's going to be that bad? I said, dude, I've been down here for 7, 8 years in a row. I know it's going to be that bad. Yeah. And they did go do that. And and they come up to us after the tournament and thanked us for telling them that, because, they didn't have any idea they'd never been in a tournament with 200 boats in it before. They had no idea what they was in for. And he said, man, you was right. He said, that's crazy. But I'll never forget that. It was just as nice. They pulled up beside the boat, and I said, what are you doing? He said, I just wanted to say hi. I said, well, I'm glad you did. But, dude, you're going to get in trouble. But we'd done that a couple of times. But, before the before tournaments, a lot of times, especially if there was 150, 200 boats in a tournament, everybody was out there early because if not, you wouldn't get your boat launched before time to take
Yeah,
off.
I imagine it takes a while even to get those boats on the water and
Up to
the
3 hours.
and
So
the and the
we just go
sore ass
out and sit there and visit with people.
and all the grumpy anglers not really wanting to wait in line, or somebody accidentally cuts it. It could be a mess, I imagine, sometimes.
Aaron had probably one of the greatest because it's stupid. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world to let people leave out early and go 100 miles someplace to fish and think they're not fishing before it's time to fish, because they are. They
Yep.
just don't get caught. That's all. And a lie detector test, don't don't ask the question to the guy that won. If he done that, it's the guy in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 20th, 100th place that's fishing early. It's not usually the guy that wins. It's somebody else that don't get that test. So somebody's always doing that. I've got on people a bunch of times for doing that. Caught them fishing early. Nobody seems to care. That's the most ridiculous thing you do. Line them up with a number, and everybody take off in flights of 5 or 10. It's a safe way to do it. It's a fair way to do it, and everybody comes in at their time to be in. But these guys that run these tournaments now, they're wannabes in the tournament scene.
Yeah, how do you feel about like a lottery to have an observer in everybody's boat? How do you feel about that?
I would be fine with that if everybody had a big enough boat that they could do it safely.
Yeah. Brings us back to, they can spend $100 on a boat, but they're complaining about spending $3,000 on electronics for front
Yeah,
facing.
no kidding.
Yeah. Hey, Dan Townsend, what's going on, buddy? Jerry Parker made a cool comment here. He says, most of your trout parks sell inline spinners with hand-tied flies for a trailer, dynamite for panfish.
I agree.
Even if you got the little treble hooks, I get, I've bought a lot of replacement treble hooks in the past just because I like them red ones. I don't think they make a difference, but I just like them. But I know, like on those smaller baits for the treble hooks, I always like using a.
Chrissy, you're supposed to be forgetting about that stuff.
I wish somebody would have recorded that.
I'm so glad they did.
What was I just talking about? Oh, I like the little tiny treble hooks to replace on those little Panther Martins when I need them.
Yeah.
My only tip for that is always get the 1Xs. Don't get like a 2X or a 3X, which is the strength of the hook, which pretty much defines how much weld is where the 3 shafts meet.
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
You don't need that for panfish.
I will share this with everyone when you're talking about that kind of stuff. I live 40 minutes or less from Bennett Springs Trout Park. It is a 1,000,000 per hour spring that comes up out of the ground, and there's a trout park. It's a fish hatchery. It's one of the biggest fish hatcheries in our state. It flows into the Niagara River, which goes into Lake Ozark. It is a huge tourist attraction. People come from everywhere in the world to fish that place. And there's a whole bunch of little stores around that. And if you're looking for little hooks of any kind, those stores will have them. I highly recommend going to see Charlie Reddy's store if you were over there looking for stuff. But all them stores have got the little hooks and the little rings. I forgot what you call those. That you can put them on and makes changing those hooks out so much.
The split ring pliers. I just got a new pair of those.
Yeah, I've got a pair of those here somewhere, but split rings and we'll let you change them hooks out really easy. You can order this stuff online, but it's really hard to get an
idea of what you're buying
without holding them in your hand the first time. Now, once you get them, if you're using the same brand, you can order them online with confidence, but you still have to. If you order them online, a lot of times you got to order them 2 or 3 times before you
just order one of each, Lyle. You can afford it.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about our viewers.
Oh, okay, that's right. See,
I can't afford to do
that. Twisted Fishing TV. Frank says we all know each other pretty good on the Maumee. I think that's how you say that. River.
Maumee, yeah.
Maumee River. Buddy got his tackle taken. Lots of tackle. He had it all back inside a week. That's another good thing to be networked on your local body of water. We had an issue here where some guys were out in in a John boat with a mud motor out on the river, cutting people's lines, throwing full beers at people, stuff like that, telling them to get off the river. And word got out, and I guarantee you those people aren't going to be out there again without the fear of God in them. So
that's right.
And I don't condone violence, but I can't control what other people do.
I can't imagine wasting a good beer over somebody.
Jerry Parker, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to ban him like for life.
I know that we was a little late getting things lined out on our show today, but we only had like 15 likes. So if you guys don't mind and you're enjoying the content of what we're doing tonight, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, we'd appreciate that so very much. To give that some thought while we're finishing up here tonight.
And Jerry's gone.
What did Jerry do now? Oh, man. Josh says, see you, Parker.
For all I know, it was a setup. It could very well be.
It could have very well been. Who knows? But anyhow, I do think that everybody looks for new places to fish all the time. And there is people that you can go up and knock on the door and they'll still let you fish in a pond. There's not as many of them as there used to be, I know, and it gets very discouraging. But if you don't know that, if you don't, you can't be told no unless you ask. And was it last year or the year before? I had went out to a couple of the places that I was trying to fish, and the water was so low I couldn't find a place. And there was a guy fixing a fence right on a blacktop road. And I stopped and got out and visited with him. He says, what can I help you with? I said, I'm looking for a place that I have access to one of these creeks or small rivers or something where I have a place to fish because I need to catch some fish and I'm not able to. The water's so low everywhere. Need to find a place where I can get into a hole. He said, I don't have a place like that, but I got a pond behind my house and you're welcome to go up there and fish it. And I went there a whole bunch of times and it was supposed to have bluegill in it, but all I caught was little bass about like this. And he said, man, if there's that many in there, what are we going to do? I said, well, some of them need to be taken out. But I said, I can't use them for bait, so really they're no good to me.
You may use them for fish sticks of that size. You just
just a really nice guy. And he said, when my dad built that pond, he said, we built it with the intentions that people that didn't have a place to fish could come out here and fish. So that worked out perfect for you. I said, yeah, there's plenty of fish in it. You can catch them pretty regularly. I said, they're just not what I'm looking for.
Hey, there's Cindy. How you doing? How you doing, Cindy? Another thing is, I've seen some ponds that what looks like they're on private property. And after looking on the Onyx app, a friend of mine has like the full-blown version that shows property owners, property lines, find out it's state property.
Really?
Whether they took possession of it or whatever, if it's state property or an easement, something like that, you got every right to go there. You might get a little grief for being in there. But other than that, that's another good one. So
one of the places that people overlook, I think, is ponds that are built in subdivisions when the subdivisions are built, because they have to get dirt and clay and different things to level up stuff, which leaves a pond. And a lot of times you have to live in that subdivision or be invited by someone that lives in that subdivision, but it never hurts to check. And a lot of those places I have found have a lot of bullhead in
them. Ours are too new for, I don't know.
They may be too new for it. But a lot of them do have, and a lot of city parks have ponds in them, and a lot of those have bullheads in them. And mostly, this is just my opinion. You guys can say I'm wrong or right about it. Doesn't make any difference to me. But if you find a small pond like that, and it hasn't rained hard where it muddied it up, and it's muddy most year round, there's probably bullheads in it.
I'm going to have to give bullheads a little more searching and see if we can't find some, because I've caught bullheads in some ponds where I go for bluegill and stuff, and they've been monsters. So there's got to be, I'm talking like 1 pound 1 pound little whales. I call them Shamu when they get to be that size. They kind of got that killer whale look to them. But then I've come back and fished for them, and I'm not getting a bite. So they're not as prevalent as my other couple of spots that I got to travel for.
And maybe
but they are in there.
So.
So. What?
It's possible more people are fishing for them.
Nah, these bass. The only people that fish these ponds around here are these kids that fish for bass. You don't see too many bluegill people, and that's why a lot of these ponds are stunt growth. A couple of ponds that I've been hitting for bait for a long time. Those get to be of size, or if they got a healthy big bass population that's able to eat those bluegill, when they get to be 4 or 5 inches, then the bluegill tend to get bigger, the surviving ones. So,
yep.
We had to talk. If you guys want to go back and watch a great show that we've done quite a while ago, just go on the main page and do a search under Bob Lusk. He's like one of the leading pond management guys in the country.
I agree.
He manages ponds and the deal for Bass Pro Shops, does professional ones for people like the owner of the Cowboys and stuff, but don't hold that against him. It's still.
I agree. Bob was a great guest. We might want to entertain getting him back on here at some point, because he really was a great guest and so full of information.
He's like next level. He knows what's going on.
Right.
And I'm not talking about like pay ponds or whatever, but in order to have a successful, private pond, that's somebody at the caliber of like the owner of Bass Pro or the owner of the Dallas Cowboy wants. And I think he's even done one for the Rock. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, he's done for a lot of big name people. I think the owners of Anheuser-Busch and there's no telling who all else.
He knows he knows what healthy water should look like and the biomass that should be in there. So he's next level.
You understand what that means?
The old $3 in the coffee can farm pond fishing. No, I don't.
I haven't understood that either. Frank, you need to clarify that for me. I've been studying that for a while now, and I don't really know what you're talking about.
Maybe the owner's got a can out there. You drop $3 in. We had one place back in the day where I caught, I had a 2 pound, 4 ounce crappie that I caught once. I'm not counting it as my PB because I was literally like 12 years old when I caught it. This old man up here on Island Lake in Illinois, he had a bulldozer he wasn't doing nothing with. So he cut a big channel into his yard back in the day and out to the lake, and that lake had flood in there, and that's where the crappie used to come to spawn every year. We used to pay $2 to park on his property and fish. And that was it.
Wow.
That was back in the day. But they were monster ones. So we used to use. You ever hear those crappie baits called little pinkies? They're pretty much like pink hand ties with an underspin on them, and they used to kill the crappie around here. So,
I'll tell you something that go a long way. If you get permission to fish in somebody's pond or drive back to a creek on their property, never leave trash on it. And if somebody else has been there and left trash, pick it up. The other thing is, when Christmas time comes around, a pie, a cake, a ham, anything to say thank you to those folks for allowing you to fish on their property will go a long way with them letting you go back the next year and the year after that.
You had to mention pie, Lyle.
I did. So there's only 2 kinds of pie.
It's the one that's in front of me and the one that's in my belly, right?
No, hot and cold.
Oh, hot and cold. Okay. Stop it. We can't talk about food. I'm trying to watch my sugar here. Easy.
A lot of farmers, you can drop a few dollars in a can and fish, or we used to. I haven't seen or heard anything out of that lately, but here, I will say this. One of the places that I frequent on a little creek right outside of town here called Big John's Access. I'm not sure if that's a Niagara River or not, but the conservation department goes out there and they put a great big, like gunny sack and nail it onto a tree before as you go down the mud ramp, because it doesn't have hardly any rock on it or anything. But they put that up there to catch trash in. People put and the asses still leave everything lay all over the bank instead of putting it in that gunny sack. Now, in some of their defense, a lot of times the sack is full, needs to be dumped. Damn, if you're out there, either take it with you or put up another sack.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Come on, folks.
Not that easy.
No.
Or not that hard.
You know, I'm still trying to get over the thing Sheila being on you about looking around. I know how that is. I honestly, God, I do.
I make a conscious effort not even to throw like mono tags out if I'm tying a new jig on or something in my boat, and I got them laying all over the bottom of my boat. It's not in a vacuum. Don't get out. It isn't that bad at all. So
that's right. Frank says absolutely. Respect and permission can get you on some awesome bites. That's right. And you're going to get the fish. You know, I stopped. A guy stopped. I stopped him actually. He was mowing between the road and the fence on one of the places that I frequent out here, and I don't go out there now because the water's so low. There's no sense in it. I asked him if he owned that. He said, "Yeah, he owned both sides of the roads for I forgot how far, long ways." And I said, "There was a young man that stopped and told me that if I walk down this creek, that there is a curve down there, and if you fish that curve, there's a lot more fish there." And I said, "I can't walk that far, but if the water ever would stay up high enough, I've been thinking about one of those little one-man pontoon things," which I've kind of passed that up, and I'm not going to get a kayak. But regardless, he said, "You know what?" He said, "That fence is locked over there because if I don't lock it, people just drive through there." He said, "I live in that house right up there." And he said, "When you decide you want to go back there," he said, there's a field road, you can drive to it. He said, "I'll let you follow me back there so you can go back there and fish that to see if it's something you're interested in." And I thanked him. And then we've got into this back problems and and all the crap that we got going now. And I haven't been back out and visited with him about that. But when I can, I'm going to, because this young man that was telling me about that, he was probably 18 years old. He said, "Man," he said, "if you walk down there," he said, "it's a lot better fishing." He said, "A lot better." So tells me that, you know, when I was 18 years old, I'd have walked down there, wouldn't even been hesitant about it. But I'm not 18 now. That's why I'm going and getting these shots and stuff done to my back, and, you know, going to another doctor tomorrow and another one Monday. And yeah, it's just a bunch of crap.
Bionic Lyle. He's going to outfish everybody.
Damn, I feel like it almost. You know, it's going someplace all the time. But I can't walk that far anymore, Mark. I just can't. Too fat.
Understandable. So what else we got going on, Lyle?
That's about it, man. People are lucky that Mark fixed all the stuff so he could find us in here tonight.
Yeah, my fault. Long story. Lack of communication. What do we got? We got Chad's show tomorrow. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. I haven't seen anything, but I bet you they are.
Yeah.
He's got to pay for that mansion somehow. It might as well be right. YouTube money.
He's got that Chad Fields money, and I can prove that he's got it.
Friday, we got Stan's show on, and we got Jody fishing live afterwards. Saturday, apparently there's a new water tournament that I've heard a little bit about. I imagine it's going to be on all the channels that do the live tournament league. And then Panfish or Catfish Weekly on Monday, as always. Make sure you tune in there. I might go live tomorrow. I might not. It all depends on how my voice is in the morning, and if this turns into something more than just me going hoarse. So
yeah, I said something about going fishing in the morning. Can't do it because I got a doctor's appointment. And
I've been cooking a lot more at home, Lyle, so I've been going through a little more fish than usual. So I got to replenish some channel cat, and it couldn't hurt to get some walleye. So that's what I was trying to get out to do this week. After I had shots in my back again yesterday. I've been doing all sorts of stuff. I'm a wreck. So we'll see what we can do, but yeah, that's the plan for my next live, or I might make a video. We had a little talk about that. We'll see what we can do. I think the only way I'm going to get good at making a darn video is actually by trying to make them until I figure
well, I think you're right. And that's what I was talking to you about earlier. There's going to start being a lot more videos posted on Panfish Nation. We're not gaining ground as fast as we had hoped to. So I'm hoping that if we put some videos, and if I ever get a spot where I can go live and fish, we'll do that. But it's really hard to do where I'm at. But we'll try to do some of that. But we're definitely going to be doing some maybe some fly tying or some jig tying.
Yeah, we can do some shorts too. That's a good way of getting some attention.
Yeah,
So
but
we can figure it out.
we need to do something to keep growing and not staying as still like we are. But we appreciate everybody watching the show tonight. And Mark, I hope you get to feeling better. I'm already better since yesterday.
Good deal.
But I'm going to have a day or two of not doing too much, and then even if it's a weekend, I may go fishing this weekend just because
I'm thinking I might wait till the weekend too to get this done, because since all the people are off the water and it's getting a little cooler out there, it might not be a problem. My buddy Eli wants to go do a little walleye fishing up on a chain, so I see that coming up, and it's October. It's time to chase them crappie up here in the next week or so. I got a lot to fit in here, so I better get to feeling better real soon. So
Yep.
And plus, I wanted to make a trip this month that we were talking about. We got to talk about that yet. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Do Mark and Lyle's daily fish tip next short. That's a good idea. Thanks, Jerry. I bet he don't kick you off this time for that remark.
Not for that comment. That's a good comment. I'm glad to see him back, because in StreamYard it showed him as banned. I'm like, oops. Apparently it wasn't a ban. All right, Lyle. Tell everybody good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.